Hi, good morning. How are you? Hope all of you are fine. Now, what about our last class? Hope everything is clear for you. In the last class, we have discussed a corollary of Pythagorean theorem. Okay, today we are going to prove Bessel's inequality. Bessel's inequality we have already studied in our linear algebra. Proof is also same as that. Okay, now we will see what is Bessel's inequality. Before going to the Bessel's inequality, we are first look at some notations. Suppose x is equal to x and n is equal to 1 to infinity represents a infinite linearly independent system. Okay, then if our space is a finite dimensional space, then we usually denote this as, we consider this as, suppose n is equal to 1 to some m. Okay, if it is infinite dimensional, then we use this. Okay, now similarly we use this notation. If our system is a finite set, then this represents sigma I equal to 1 to n. Okay, if our system is an infinite dimensional, then this represents an infinite set. Now, the statement of the Bessel's inequality is, for any orthonormal system, EI I greater than or equal to 1 subset of H, and for every x belongs to H, we have sigma I greater than or equal to 1 modulus of I greater than, or if it is a finite set, then this is I equal to 1 to n, otherwise it is I is equal to 1 to infinity. Okay, modulus of inner product of x EI whole square is less than or equal to norm of x whole square. This is called Bessel's inequality. Now we are moving to the proof. Proof is very easy. Actually we are applying Cauchy-Schwarz inequality and linearity of our inner product. Okay. Now for this, consider yn is equal to sigma n is equal to I is equal to 1 to n inner product of x ei ei. Consider yn is equal to this one. Okay, this you have to remember. All other proof will automatically will get. Now what about inner product of y and x? By Cauchy-Schwarz inequality, this is less than or equal to norm of yn into norm of x. Okay, clear? Now what about this? What about inner product of yn and x? And this is equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to n inner product of x ei comma x. As this is sigma I equal to 1 to n, for the convenience I am taking two terms. Okay. Now what about the sum if n is equal to 2? Then this is actually sigma, this is actually inner product of x e1 plus x e2 comma x. If the terms are 2, then this is equal to this one. Okay, and this is equal to inner product of x e1. You apply linearity of inner product e1 comma x plus inner product of x e2, here x e2 again e2 comma x. You apply linearity, you take this as sum a e1 plus b e2, okay, comma x. So a e1 x plus some b e2 x. Okay, and this is equal to inner product of x e1 x plus inner product of x e2 x. This is a constant. This is a constant. Okay, some ax form. So you can take a outside and this one. Okay, and this is actually conjugate of x e1. So x e1 into x e1 conjugate plus xe2 into xe2 conjugate. Okay, but this is a conjugate implies mod a square. Therefore, this is mod inner product of xe1 whole square plus inner product of xe2 whole square. Okay, so if you consider two terms, then this inner product is actually this one. Proceeding in a similar manner, if you expand this sum, we get this is actually equal to this. Sigma I is equal to 1 to n modulus of inner product of xei whole square. Okay, here I have taken two terms and the value is modulus of inner product of xe1 whole square plus modulus of inner product of xe2 whole square. Here n terms, therefore sum is equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to n modulus of inner product of xei whole square. Okay, so our left term is this one. Norm of yn is equal to inner product of yn. Okay, and the whole raised to 1 bit. Therefore, norm of yn square is equal to inner product of yn. Okay, but our yn is sigma I is equal to 1 to n inner product of xei comma, and again yn sigma I is equal to 1 to n inner product of xei en. As in the previous case, I am giving proof for only two terms. Now suppose there are two terms, then for this equal to, suppose n is equal to 2. This become inner product of xe1 e1. There is no need to write this particular case for your exam. Okay, e1 you can directly say this is equal to, okay, e1 plus inner product of xe2 e2, okay, inner product comma inner product of xe1 e1 plus inner product of xe2 e2. Okay, so you apply linearity property here. So this is actually inner product of xe1 e1 plus e1 comma inner product of xe1 e1 plus inner product of xe2 e2 plus inner product of this term inner product of xe1 e2 comma inner product of xe1 e1 plus inner product of xe2 e2. Now again here apply linearity. So this become inner product of xe1 e1 comma inner product of xe1 e1 plus inner product of xe1 e1 comma inner product of xe2 e2 plus similarly this term inner product of xe1 e2 comma inner product of xe1 e1 plus inner product of xe1 e2 comma inner product of xe2. Here we have xe2, so this become xe2, this become xe2 e2. Okay, now what about this term? This term you can, I am directly moving to the last result. This term you can write as xe1 and taking xe1 outside, this become inner product of xe1, and here taking this outside we get inner product of xe1 conjugate into inner product of e1 plus this term inner product of xe1 inner product of xe2 conjugate inner product of e1 e2 plus from this term inner product of xe2 inner product of xe1 conjugate inner product of e2 e1. Okay, and from this last term inner product of xe2 inner product of xe2 conjugate inner product of e2 e2. Okay, but inner product of E1 is 1. Inner product of E1 E2 is 0. Here also E2 E1 0 and this is 1. So what remains here? X E1 conjugate. So finally this equal to modulus of X E1 square. Okay, 1 and this term 0 and this term plus inner product of X E1 is E2 square. This is the case when n is equal to 2. Therefore, this is actually equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to n modulus of inner product of X E I whole square. Thus, we get norm of yn square equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to n modulus of inner product of X E I whole square. This implies norm of yn is equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to n modulus of inner product of X E I whole square whole raised to 1 by 2. Okay, clear? Now apply our previous result. Inner product of yn x less than or equal to norm of x into norm of yn. Yn x is sigma I is equal to 1 to n modulus of inner product of X E I whole square, and this is less than or equal to norm of x into sigma I is equal to 1 to n modulus of inner product of X E I whole square whole raised to 1 by 2. Okay, so here raised to 1 by 2, here raised to 1. This implies sigma I is equal to 1 to n modulus of inner product of X E I whole square whole raised to 1 by 2 is less than or equal to norm of x. Okay, here these two terms are same and here power 1 by 2, here 1. Therefore, this whole raised to 1 by 2 less than or equal to, we cancel. Okay, so this implies sigma powering this I is equal to 1 to n modulus of inner product of X E I whole square is less than or equal to norm of x whole square. Therefore, sigma I is equal to 1 to n modulus of inner product of X E I whole square is less than or equal to norm of x whole square, and this is our Bessel's inequality. Okay, about the infinite case. Here you just apply limit n tends to infinity. Finite case we have sigma I is equal to 1 to n modulus of X E I whole square less than or equal to norm of x whole square. Okay, now apply limit here, limit on the left side, and here limit we will get norm of x whole square itself, and this is equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to infinity modulus of X E I whole square less than or equal to norm of x whole square. Okay, this you can write there. Limit n tends to infinity norm of x whole square. Okay, this we get infinite case also. Okay, now we are moving to a corollary. Corollary says that for any x belongs to H and any orthonormal system EI I equal to 1 to infinity, there exists a y belongs to H such that y is equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to infinity inner product of X EI. Okay, proof is very easy. In our earlier proof we assumed yn is equal to sigma n is equal to I is equal to 1 to n modulus of inner product of X EI. Okay, and consider this, and we have by corollary of Pythagorean theorem we have norm of sigma I is equal to 1 to infinity X EI whole square is equal to, actually by a corollary of Pythagorean theorem. We have this. Apply this to here. Here you make alpha I as inner product of xei. Then we get norm of sigma I is equal to 1 to infinity inner product of xei ei. Okay, this is equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to infinity modulus of inner product of xei whole square and whole raised to 1 by 2. Okay, using this result. Okay, so here we apply inner product of xei for alpha. Okay, but this is by our Bessel's inequality. This inner product of xei sigma I equal to 1 to infinity modulus of inner product of xei whole square is less than or equal to, by this result this is less than or equal to norm of x. Actually this power whole raised to 1 is less than or equal to norm of x square. Therefore this whole raised to 1 by 2 is less than or equal to norm of x. But norm x is in h. H is a Hilbert space. Norm is always less than infinity. This implies this norm is less than infinity. Therefore this series converges. Okay, this series converges and our that is limit n tends to infinity yn exists. Okay, and limit n tends to infinity yn is sigma I is equal to 1 to infinity inner product of xei ei, and that also exists in, as y is a Hilbert space, as h is a Hilbert space, this limit also exists in h and we mark this as y. So our y is the limit of our yn and that exists. We prove the limit exists using corollary of Pythagorean theorem, and this is our corollary. Okay, now there are 3 examples of orthonormal system in your text and you have to copy this to your note and give proof for the proof for each examples. Okay, it is very easy. In L2 set 1 0 0 0 1 0 etc. is and that form an orthonormal system etc. Okay, today we have discussed Bessel's inequality and one corollary. Hope it is clear for everyone. I will upload assignment link and you submit proof of the 3 examples there. Okay, in the next class we will discuss about complete systems.